All right, good afternoon. It's Tuesday, January 23rd, 2023 at 6 p.m., and I'll call to order the Freetown Board of Selectmen meeting. This meeting will be recorded and will be available on the town's YouTube page. We will be going into executive session and then returning back into open session. Following executive session, we will be going into executive session for the following reason. Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Freetown Employees Association, Public Employees Local Union 272, and Freetown Highway Department / Public Employees Union Local Union 272, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and I do. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion made. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. We're now in executive session. Good afternoon, everybody. We are now back in open session. I'm going to do things a little bit out of order just to get some people home before these roads get too bad. So I'm going to jump to agenda item 6, which is a discussion on the survey results for the old police station from Architectural Consulting Group. Come on forward, please. You don't mind?
Surprise.
Do you have the pictures up there, Trevor? If not,
You can just, we'll pass some stuff out. Okay.
You want to crash?
No, yeah, if you can.
Yes, with information.
Yeah, I think we have that in our in our packet anyway. So.
How are you?
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
how you doing, sir?
Hello. How are you doing? Yeah, I'll make it short and sweet, I guess.
All right.
So,
If anybody wants to have a copy,
yeah.
to give out, come on up and look at that.
Hi.
Just your name for the.
Yeah, hi, Mike Josephek, President, Architectural Consulting Group in New Bedford. We've been engaged to review the original study we did and then update it. So we started to with the police station first, and we're continuing information gathering. Actually, we're out there Friday and putting together on the Council on Aging building. But as far as the police station goes, right,
Clarify, the old police station.
the old police station, yeah.
Now the beautiful building.
No, this one's pretty good. The building is originally put together, uninsulated slab on grade, CMU masonry wall construction, wood roof framing, asphalt shingles, basic rectangle. Rooms are located to either side of the central corridor. It's currently adequate for its use as a storage building. It's not conceivably adequate for use as any other type of long-term document or record storage use, which would require a climate-controlled environment. The building as it stands had several problems over time with flooding and moisture and HVAC deficiencies. It's not a good candidate for rehabilitation into office space, climate-controlled storage, or any other use that require a full code compliance reconstruction effort. Actually, the energy codes now have just been, the new codes have been adopted by the state. In a nutshell, to try and make that building comply, you'd have to build another building around it just to meet the energy requirements of the insulation and the weatherization and stuff. So the size of the current building does not lend itself for use as new office space either. Currently, the rooms are inadequately sized. They do not meet ADA. The building needs new HVAC, plumbing, energy compliance, electrical, security, IT, fire protection, furniture, fixtures, equipment, and still have problems with latent moisture, possible flooding. Since it was built in the late 70s, it's assumed there might be some asbestos-containing materials in sheetrock joint mud, flooring, and possibly roof mastic. Lead paint and PCB and caulking are also a possibility. The building's basic shell is CMU with what we anticipate might have been block filled with vermiculite insulation, which was a loose pore product. The trouble with vermiculite, it was pulled out of the same mines as asbestos. So now anything that's got vermiculite is considered potentially hazardous as well. It's going to be tested and whatnot. So, and it wasn't really a good insulator anyway. The R-Valley, the wall assembly or roof will not meet current codes. You'd have to build an additional wall structure outside or inside the building to allow for insulation. New windows would need to be installed. The floor slabs uninsulated, they have to be insulated. The foundation would have to be insulated. So to meet the code just for energy requirements alone, it's definitely not, in our professional opinion, worth looking at as a rehab. Expected costs, I wrote down, to do a design, engineering, to provide plans and a scope of work. If you were to do that, you could put a couple $100,000 into just the engineering and architectural fees, civil work and all, just to get it out to a bid. If you did that, you could expect to spend another $3 million trying to come up with an additional, what I'd say later on here, maybe 4 or 5 rooms. We looked at the existing, and to do just a demolition, if you just want to say I'm going to clear the lot, that's probably going to end up, because of the potential hot material, you could spend $1 million just cleaning that site up of that building. So for right now, the cost to reabate the building would not be our recommended action. We figured that based on the square footages, you'd only end up with maybe 4 good office spaces, and then you have to have support space. You're going to have mechanical rooms, electrical rooms, IT room, or whatever technology is coming in. You'd have to have some sort of a break room or a rest area. You'd have to have some ADA compliant bathrooms, maybe an employee's bath or some restroom. But that's only serving 4 or 5 spaces, where you could put the same core requirements and serve 10, 15 spaces if you get your dollars worth. So it's really not worth, in our opinion, financially putting any more money into it. I go on to say the existing building currently serves the general public and citizens of Freetown in a capacity that does not require rehabilitation, demolition, or any improvements to the structure. The food pantry receives, stores, and distributes food goods donated by a larger corporate, and it doesn't need any capital investment. Mm-hmm. Let it sit there, keep it doing what it's doing right now. Any reuse of the building would involve spending town funds is not advantageous. Tax dollars spent towards a new building will result in a new building will result in better situated rooms, more logical program, and effective spatial design. Our recommendation is leave the building in its current condition, leave its occupancy as is, and look to develop a larger new footprint building, maybe a 2-story building can incorporate more shared spaces and use of better space serving the public, which would be town hall, because we are going to look at your town hall, the schoolhouse next door, the libraries, council on aging, stuff like that. So to put any real money into the old police station at this point in your history, we would recommend against it.
All right.
At that point.
Thank you. And just to speak a little bit to the genesis of this, during the last special town meeting, we were looking for some funds to potentially rent some space for the overflow we have at the town hall and some other town-owned buildings where we just don't have enough space. And so that got voted down. And it was brought up a couple of times that we own this police station, the old police station. Why don't we utilize that? And I think you confirmed a lot of the suspicions that I had was that it's just not a suitable workspace.
Yeah, so, really not. No.
I mean, that's kind of. I'm not looking forward to your report on the town hall because.
and there's so many things that this was our initial report. We'll do a little more in depth because if you look at the outside, they used to have soil draped up around the building to add as insulation. I mean, a lot of that I've heard was taken down. But it was done when it was done. It's been like probably 50 years, and it's like time to look
One
at
of the
other.
reasons that I wanted to have this report and Mr. Josephat come was that we're going to be looking at renewing the license for the food pantry coming
Yeah.
up in the next month or two. I don't know exactly when. So I thought it was imperative, and that's why I asked you to do this one first, for you to have this
Yeah.
as information as a board, because it is important about what you do with that building moving forward. So that's why this
Yeah.
this building was important for me to get the information to the board and to the residents sooner than some of the other ones that we're working on.
Yeah, and we're here to, we're gonna keep doing this process. As a matter of fact, I got we were up at the Council on Aging Fridays, been doing all of the stuff into the computer today, but tomorrow he's probably gonna go by town hall and see you, start working on that one, so.
All right, well, appreciate your time.
Any other questions?
So much.
Yeah, any
I really
questions?
appreciate it. I think
No?
No, when I read the report more thoroughly, seems like leave it the way it is for now.
Just keep doing what you're doing. It's not hurting you, and it's not causing you any pain, so. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to go on to agenda item 7, which is the discussion regarding the residents from Alexander Drive concerning and regarding light and noise coming from the industrial park. And I think we have some folks here from both sides of this situation. So Debbie, you want to kick us off on this?
I will. So, for quite a few months now, Mr. Branco, Mr. Neves, they've come in and they've said, look, stuff is going on up Ridge Hill, behind our homes, and there's generators running. But I've also gotten multiple other complaints about the generators running all night long. They have the generators and the lights shining into their backyards, but I've had people from High Street call in and say, generators go on at 1 o'clock in the morning, generators go up at 4 o'clock, we hear them all night long, we can't sleep. So I've reached out to Mr. Nasser, who owns the property there, and we've, gone back and forth. He's tried to mitigate some of the issues to try to have the generators run less. He's moved the lights, re-angled them, and he's here tonight. He can tell you what he's done. But it seems to still be an ongoing situation. So we didn't have a zoning enforcement officer for some time. So Mr. Bizzaro was hired, he came in, and Mr. Branco and Mr. Neves have spoken with him and made a complaint about the business, which is in the industrial park. And Carl Bizzaro has gone out, talked to Mr. Nasser, talked to him about the property, and he has started the procedures of, okay, first let me investigate and see what's going on. But that just happened this week, because he's only been here for a few weeks.
Yep.
So he is just getting involved in it, but Mr. Branco and Mr. Neves continue to come in, and I just wanted them, I wanted to have you hear them so that the board could understand what the issues are, and then Mr. Nasser can try to respond. And also, they have gone to the planning board informally to talk to them about a special permit, Mr. Nasser did. So I just wanted the board to be brought up to speed, but hear from the residents what's going on exactly, and also hear from the business owner that's been there for 50 years or so.
All right, thank you, Deb. And so if we're going to, I think the way this should go is whoever's going to speak, on either side's behalf, you just come up here and, announce your name. So, and then I'll give, equal time to each parties to, kind of state their side here. I don't think any decision is going to be made today. This is more just for us to fully understand from, the horse's mouth of what's going on. So if anyone would like to step forward, please.
Can they go first so we know what they're doing, what the plans are?
We'd like to know what your issues are from your home and from your, for your opinion first.
Just move the microphone. Yeah, we couldn't move the
Can you just do us a
microphone.
favor? I know could be a charged discussion. Just let each party speak. All right? Be respectful. We'll keep it professional, keep it cordial, okay? Appreciate that.
Hi, my name is Jose Branco. I live at 7 Alexander Drive. I have a few concerns about the property behind me. I have lightning in my house at night. I really don't need that. I have proof. I've talked to that gentleman over there. Now the noise is getting out of hand. I believe was Monday morning, right before 1 o'clock in the morning, the noise really woke me up. And it's a loud noise, like a generator noise. And we've complained over and over again, going back and forth with the town administrator. She tries to get his attention. So I don't think doesn't reply like he should. And it's not only the noise, the generator noise, at night, because there's trailers coming in and out every night. Mm-hmm. And it has that beeping noise, and it's got the beeping noise. They slam the doors at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just not comfortable. I don't know what the plans are. I know they started taking the land away from clearing the land. They didn't check with the town if they needed permits or not. They made a big pile of dirt. The wind used to take the dirt and slam into my home. So we'd like to know what's going on and what's being done and what's the town going to do to help the residents, because this is really getting out of hand. And I got better things to do than go bother Deborah 2 or 3 times a week with this.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Nassau, if you'd like to, or is there anybody else you want? Yeah. Yeah, please.
Good evening. How you doing? I'm Pedro. My name is Pedro Neves. I live on the famous 9 Alexander Drive. And I think we need to put a little step back before we understand what's happening most recently over the past, I don't know, at least with the generators, probably lights, probably 2 to 3 years, 2 years maybe. But, there's been a progression on that land that we're talking about behind our property on Alexander Drive, that's between the Alexander Drive and XL property, right? There's been a progression of the trailers, tractor trailers being disposed there. They weren't there in 2018. They weren't there in 2017. They weren't there in 2012 when I moved in. They were not there. I have proof of that. I've sent pictures to Deborah. And so I'm not entirely sure, because I don't have access to probably the information, but I don't know what's grandfather in or not grandfather in. But it sounds to me that's been an illegal expansion over the years, over mostly the past probably 3 to 4 years, that they started putting trucks, and then slightly there's probably sometimes there's over 100 trucks now. There's 120, 130, possibly more. I've counted them. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less. And then these trucks, they come in at all times of the night. You have to understand that, right? Mm-hmm. Think about it. Someone in your backyard of your house, open space, and when they cut down the trees, made it worse. I get it. It's his land. He can do certainly whatever he wants, but it's not helping his situation. It's not helping any of us. And these trucks come in over at the times of the night. I have children. Joe has family. We have family. My other neighbors have families and newborns, and they've complained. And then they point these beaming lights to our properties. How responsible and disrespectful can you be pointing the beams at your own at the neighbors? Can at least we have asked several times. In fact, we had conversations with the owner, and he was upset himself at the time. So he presented that way. And he tried to mediate, apparently, that situation, but I think it got resolved in one way, in one corner for a little while, and then suddenly the lights have been hitting our houses. That's just the lights, right? And then talking about the generators. It seems like now they have another generator. before it seems like more behind Mr. Branco's house. Now there's another generator, more like towards the beginning of the property. You know, I don't know where it is, but now I hear it all night, like, because I can hear it more in my bedroom. I mean, it goes on and off because sometimes with the demand, probably when the power, I'm assuming, right? I don't know. When the power goes down, it probably the generator needs to charge, right? So it just runs and it's loud. And then the lights, it's like, I don't need lights in my, like, Mr. Branco doesn't need lights in his background in his house. I don't need lights in my living room, my kitchen, and in my bedroom. I mean, would you like to have me go to your house and point beam lights at your property and your lights when you're sleeping, and go with the drum or drop containers that I don't know how much a trailer would hold, but you know, when sometimes those tractor trailers, when they came in, first of all, when the tractor trailer goes backwards, you know, they go, what do they do? Beep, 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 beep. I mean, that's, unfortunately, that property, you know, and XL has the same issue, a different issue, right? But the point is that area is such an open area that, you know, you drop something, the sound just travels. And it doesn't help them, it doesn't help us. I'm not blaming nobody, it is what it is. But the fact is that we're being impacted. And then the trucks sometimes, when they dropping the containers, it just sometimes they drop and they bang, big bangs at night. Or my dog sometimes wakes up and barks. You know, it's not the first time that my son sometimes, like, it's just my house shakes sometimes. I mean, it's not all the time, you know, but sometimes it feels like, I mean, maybe it doesn't probably shake, but it has that feeling of like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All right. It's not all the time, but it's just, I mean, they have an investment, but listen, this is residential. We live there. Do your business. Don't bother me. I don't bother you. Don't bother me. Don't come. You know, it's just how it is. And they can't even be respectful with the beam lights. Yeah. I mean, that says a lot. I think. Yeah. So, and then with the expansion, I don't know what's going on. You know, and then by the way, and the other thing is, even if they don't do nothing there, there have been illegal. I don't know the law, but that's for you to look into it. I think there's been illegal expansion, so something needs to be done about that either, because the trucks remain, and it's like you're operating a business in the 21st century with a 40 years ago. Like, it just makes no sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Yep. If you guys like to come and kind of speak to some of that, and obviously we're not going to solve anything here tonight, but just to be clear.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Well, I'd like to tell you how surprised I am that there.
Can you say your name for the camera?
My name is Mike Nasser. I'd like to say how surprised I am that they're complaining about the lights. I mean, I went there again tonight. I've been there last night, night before. I look at Mr. Branco's house. I don't know Mr. Neves, which house he has, but his house is totally in the dark. There's no light going towards his house. When Deborah Petty told me about it at first, as soon as she told me, I went right down, the first time she told me, I went right down to Sandman. I climbed up on those lights, and I pointed them down. I pointed them away from the houses. Again, the complaint was still there. So I did it again, and I made sure that those lights weren't even shining on the trailers. Now, I showed Carl, the new building commissioner, I showed him where it was concentrated right on the ground, far from their houses. And I went at night, and there were no, I have a picture on my phone that I took today at 5:35 or so. And there's no light shining on these houses. in other words, if they're complaining about the lights, I don't know what their agenda is. But that's besides the point. I've had this land leased out to Amazon since 2019. And if Amazon relies on this land, they're a taxpayer in Freetown, just like I am, and it's important for them. Everybody uses Amazon. People need Amazon. They need trucks. They need overnight delivery these days. And I think it's an important service we're giving them. And they lease the land. If necessary, they can defend themselves. Because I'm kind of like getting in the middle. I own the land, but
So are the
I've
lights-
tried to mitigate the circumstances.
Are the lights that are on the property theirs or yours?
They're theirs.
They're theirs.
They're their lights, they're their trucks. They lease the property.
Yeah, okay, I just didn't know if it was,
Yeah,
that's the only,
no,
I'm just
no.
asking. 'cause
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing that they lease the property, because I've been talking with you.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I
mean, if you can get contact
I was thinking,
information.
why get them involved? Just, it's a small problem. The lights, I can make the lights go down, and I did.
Well,
But now they're still saying that their lights are on their property.
Well, it's the generators,
As
too.
far as the noise, I moved the generators. Every time we talked, I moved the generators in a different position. And what I think it is that darn wall of trailers that's up there. I think the sound is bouncing off that wall.
The trailers that Excel put up.
The Excel trailers, the wall of trailers they put up as a sound barrier, which keeps sound from coming out of their place. But I think the generators are bouncing, because I drive by, I know a generator is on. If I put my windows up, I can't hear a thing. I put my windows down, I drive 100 feet, I still can't hear it. But, if I'm closer than 100 feet, you can hear it. But it's certainly, they're advertised as quiet generators. I gave you the information on the generators. They're solar generators. Again, that wall of trailers that Excel has up blocks the sun from the property half the day. Because at this time of year, the sun is low in the sky. And that wall is on the south side of my property. So the generators don't stay in the sun as much as they should. But unless we can take that wall down, I don't know what to do. I wouldn't mind taking that wall down because I don't like it up.
That causes all kinds of other problems.
Yeah, well, we won't get into that then. I'm very about the backup beepers on the trailers. I don't think I have the authority to shut those off.
Yeah, it's probably a safety. It's a
safety.
an OSHA thing, anyways. Right.
And the sound. I know there was a sound problem with Excel in 2017, and they had the Department of Environmental Protection do some sound things there. And there were neighbors complaining on Alexandra that the tests were invalid because they were done by someone who can't be trusted, that was friendly with Excel, which, I don't know. If you want me to get someone to test for the sound, tell me who to get, because I don't want to get someone who wouldn't be as reputable as the Department of Environmental Protection. Otherwise, maybe I'm just better not getting involved with it and just have Amazon do it, because I'm in the middle. I can ask Amazon to do some things. You can tell them to do some things. You're a lot better than I am.
Mr. Nassar, do you have a family?
I do.
And I'm sure you have kids.
I do.
Soon. So one of the complaints, not complaints, but one of the concerns is kids are very light sleepers, right? So if you do have lights coming into a building,
The lights, they're not coming
noise
into
carries,
the...
noise carries. I've driven by the property, just my own curiosity.
Yeah.
And I will say that it was pretty bright. I could play a baseball game back there if I chose to. Thank you. It's pretty bright.
Where the trucks are.
The trucks are right at the edge of the property where High Street is. Just that's the house that I saw that was lit up, one house. So it is a little bright. So our
How long ago was
we're not here
that,
to resolve
Carlos?
anything. Well, we're here to figure out how can we work together as neighbors, right? If it's Amazon, we got to speak to next, and so be it. But I think figuring out a resolution for all involved, right? It's your property, your business. We respect that, right? We're not here to say, hey, you sell the place or shut down. We're not doing that.
I'm not here
We're trying
to...
to figure out how do we come to a resolution together as a town, as neighbors, as a community. So how do we do that, right? So sounds like you've moved some generators around, great. Moved some lights around, thank you, right? I think we all appreciate that. What else can we do?
I can try it again. But I don't think I can move... I don't know where Mr. Neves lives.
I said the magical number 9.
You know, I'm here, yeah, I'm right next to...
What number was it, though?
Mine is 9, his...
9.
But certainly my house is a little lower than Mr. Branco, so I don't get as much light, for sure. I get the noise. I mean, the noise is just, I mean, you want to go check the noise, go there anytime, 1, 3, 4 in the morning. Please do. I encourage you. I'm here to say the truth, right? I'm not here to, and I get it. He's got to run his business. I don't have a problem. Just don't bother me and my family. And please don't bring up Excel and the DEP because it was not even worth talking about that. You don't bring up something from a different company to hide your own issues, your own problems. Please don't do that.
Well, I just don't want to bring someone in to...
No, what are you going to do? What, testing?
All right, excuse me. We have to do one at a time. These things go off the rails real quick.
We charge issue, we understand how both parties feel. We have family as well, we understand. When your neighborhood's impacted, you can't get a good night's sleep. It does take a toll on you after a while. So it's NASA, right? So imagine that was you. Imagine that was your neighborhood, and that was happening with a business, whatever business it is. What would you like to be done?
Well, that's basically what I'm here for. What would you like me to do? I'll try my best to do it.
I mean, is there any way you can put electricity down there so that these generators don't have to power these lights? And put telephone poles with lights on them?
The electricity is on the wrong side of the property. It's on the Excel side of the property. If I put lights there in order to shine, they'd have to shine towards Alexandria.
You can't run electricity over to the other side or to something to do that?
Well,
I guess that's one thing, and I was thinking, and then the other thing is there, I know there's like boxes they put around generators sometimes that can muffle noise. So maybe there's some sort of simple solution in that to me.
What I'm thinking of is that I still have a big pile of dirt in the middle of the area that I haven't been using. I was thinking of putting those generators in that pile of dirt and shining them away from Alexandra.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would muffle the sound, like you're saying, as boxes would. These aren't. I don't think you could build a box around these generators because of the solar thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we could place them inside the, not inside, but next to where the mound of dirt is here and the generators are here and Alexandra's there. Mm-hmm. If you're understanding what I'm saying. I can try that.
Okay. I think that'd be great. That would be helpful. Is there anything else we can?
No, you've met Mr. Bizzarro. He's going to continue doing his investigation in terms of whether you expanded and what that entails over time. And
hey, I've owned the property, 17 point something acres for over 50 years. Mm-hmm. And I've had as many as 200 trucks, 300 trucks on that property before.
Yep.
And over the years.
Yep.
Now, he said something about if you haven't had something there in 2 years, then you lose your right to have it there. Is there something like that in the provision, bylaws of Freetown?
That goes to being like a grandfathered thing, and I don't want to speak out of term, but if you have a use that's grandfathered and you abandon that use for 2 years or more, then you can no longer use the property for that. I think what might have happened with your business is that in 2017, the town enacted the truck terminal, truck stop bylaw, you know. And so prior to that, there was no bylaw regulating the truck stop, truck terminal type of thing. So you were a business operating with that, and then that bylaw was enacted in 2017. So once, I think, and listen, I'm not town council, so I think that's from moving forward, if you expanded beyond that you may have needed to come in and get a special permit based on our bylaws.
Okay. Is there a bylaw that says I have to have so many trucks on each acre of land? Because we've had trucks on that property.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I'm not sure.
I mean, is if I have trucks on 10 acres, does that mean my 11th acre I can't use? I don't understand it.
I mean, I have to assume that's not part of the bylaw. I know what you're saying, but I can't speak to that
I just don't understand, why I'm being told I have an expansion. Because I've always used that land, and every year since 1969, we've had trucks on that property.
Yeah. So you're saying
Somewhere around
you're
that.
just utilizing this one lot, you're just utilizing more of it than you were previously, is what you're saying, right?
Utilizing,
Well, right now compared to in the more recent time, right?
we've been utilizing it all the time.
But the volume, I guess, fluctuates.
Not in different areas.
Yeah.
We've had spaces that we haven't parked trucks on in a long time.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, we used to park them up on the hills, we parked them all over that property. But, it's just, like on every acre of land, we've had trucks on that property. And if you have the acre, this is 17 acres. If you draw lines this way, we've had trucks on every acre of land. If you draw lines this way, maybe there's a couple of acres of land that we didn't have, but it depends, what's the difference if I park trucks here or if I park trucks there? We've had trucks on that property forever.
But not as many. Now you have more.
No,
trucks
we've had more.
I've been there for 20 years.
Fazaro used to park his trucks there. He had a big trucking operation. We had a trucking operation that we distributed motor oil, Mass, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia, down to Chicago, Illinois, down to Birmingham, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I mean, we had a lot of trucks.
We have proven pictures that shows, we have trucks.
Yeah, I got them in my back pocket.
But not all of it. And the other thing that I might point out.
Thank you very much.
The other, if I may point out, is also the traffic that's generated. We're talking about hundreds of trucks. Yes, in my head, I moved there in 2012 to my residency, and I have pictures, even from Excel and all this stuff going on. There was pictures, many pictures. There was nothing ever there. Yes, did he have some trucks? Yes, at the beginning of the property. Yes, 4, 5, 10 trucks. Like, trucks, they were, I don't know, they were junkyard or whatever. I'm sure some business trucks in and out. And yes, he did have some, but not 50, 60, 70. Nothing behind my property, nothing behind Mr. Madera's property, nothing probably, maybe some a little bit behind Mr. I think, what's his name?
Is behind your house, let me interrupt you, is behind your house the property that was cleared? Is that a good assumption?
Was cleared. But even behind that, I have pictures that I've sent to Deborah, that from 2019, I have them right here, 2019, time-stamped, okay? There's nothing there, all it has is trace and Excel that you see directly behind my property.
That does.
So that's been an expansion. It's been an expansion over the past
All right.
4 years.
Sir, we're not going to solve that today.
I'm just-
We have an
I just wanna point out
ongoing
because he's saying there's no
investigation.
trucks.
Yeah.
Can I show
So
you a
there's been
couple
trucks,
pictures?
there's
I
been
just
no
want to show you, I'll be brief.
I actually, so it's 7 o'clock right now, and I legally have to start my public hearing for 7 PM. So if you want to hang out, and after the public hearing, we can jump back to that, but I just literally have to do this.
I just have two pictures I would like you to look at.
If you want to send send them to
I
Deb,
already did. I
okay,
already did.
I'll have Deb send them to me, and I'll review those.
It looks to me that
you.
Mr. Nassau is worried about more about his pocket than he's worried about the residents of Alexander Drive.
All right.
It is what it
I
is.
mean, Amazon has business. I actually see FedEx trucks there too. So they have a business. Well, we have our residents that live there.
If we,
Saying.
yep, I hear you.
And I appreciate you listening to us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I literally, like, I will get in trouble from the
I get
state
it.
if I don't do my public hearing.
Thank you so much.
So,
Stick around if you want to speak more to it, but at 7 o'clock, we have to begin the public
appreciate it.
hearing.
Thank you so much.
We just have to put up with this on a daily basis. I want you to understand that.
I hear you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so we're gonna go to the public hearing now. Oops, sorry about that. I'm gonna read the public hearing notice. So, December 12th, 2022, Town of Freetown, public notice. Notice is hereby given that, Verizon New England, Inc. and NSTAR Electric Company, DBA Eversource Energy, have requested a hearing to install one JO pole 372-1 with an anchor on the westerly side of North Main Street. New location being approximately 416 feet southeast of the center line of Friend Street and is 30 feet west of the existing pole, pole 77/17. This hearing is being requested to bring the utilities from across North Main Street to provide for the new development. A hearing to consider the above will be held Monday, January 23rd, 2023 at 7 PM at the Police Station Community Room, 15 Memorial Drive, East Freetown, Mass. All right, and the public hearing is now open.
Selectman Matthews. On the phone is Don Bonner from Eversource NSTAR. He's in Worcester and a little snowbound, so he's calling in.
Okay, thank you for joining us. All right, so let me think about this. Do you know what page? Probably done.
If it's public hearing, it's pretty right at the bottom. The end, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, last page.
Yeah, 139.
All right, so I guess, can you speak to a little bit on the purpose of the poll?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. And just for the record, I'm with Verizon,
Okay.
not Eversource.
All right.
Just in case you get mad, you know who to be mad at.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, the purpose is to use the existing pole line that's already there and then to bring the necessary cabling across the street, as I understand it, so that they can go underground at this new development. I think it's called GM Way.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture where this is, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it looks like a small dead end.
Yeah, I know where it is, right near the Berkeley kind of area. Yep.
Yeah, and so they need to bring the wires across, and they have to be done. It's a 45-foot pole that's going in, which is a pretty big one, because they have to keep the lines, excuse me, at a minimum of 18 feet over the ground, so as not to obstruct anything that's going on the roadway. It's typical lineage that you might see when it crosses a road. Just has to be safe, and then the pole is then going to be anchored in. The anchor's going in about 10 feet to the west of the roadway afterward to make sure it stays nice and firm.
All right. Looks pretty straightforward. So just, it's to get power to this new development. Just need a new pole.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's, I like easy ones. All right, so anyone here want to speak to this or any questions? No?
No, pretty straight.
Yeah.
I think he's actually against it.
Yeah, you know where this is right now.
Yeah, I know, it's right near Chamberlain Farms.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any questions from the rest of the board?
No?
All
Pretty
right.
straightforward.
I have no issues with it. Yeah, I think we're all set. All right, thank you very much. I bet you're happy you didn't drive down here for this.
I am, but I was planning on going hiking at the Dayton Forest, so I guess I can't do that today.
All right, next time.
But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Snowshoeing, maybe.
All right, have a good one, thank you.
You too, guys.
All right, that, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll vote on it. So this is agenda item
23.
23. So much paper.
Last one.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to approve the request to install one JO pole 372-1 with an anchor on the westerly side of North Main Street, new location being approximately 416 feet southeast of the center line of Front Street and is 30 feet west of the existing pole 77-17.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
But Jeff, I do want to know what the JO stands for. What does the JO stand for?
Joint ownership.
I just want to make sure that wasn't some new terminology that just came out.
All right, great. Okay, so now we're moving back to agenda item 2. All over the place. All right, so this is meeting minutes from 1/10/2023. I'll entertain a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
A motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have the first right of refusal for the property at 0 Gurney Farm, Assessor's Map 228, Parcel 8. And so it looks like
It was,
the recommendation has been to not exercise.
correct.
You sent that to all the boards.
Letters from
It's just, it's in forestry land, right? So it
Yeah,
needs to come
exactly.
out.
So we have that ability. I don't think the town's in the business of buying property that we don't need. Any additional comments we need to know on this one, Deb?
No, none that I have. Luann's, when she gets these, sends them to all the boards for
Yeah,
their
seems like
input.
everyone's okay with us not. All right. Seems straightforward. And do we know what the use of the land's gonna be?
I could have sworn I read something it was going to be a solar.
I was gonna say, I thought it's solar too, yeah.
Solar, yeah.
Okay. All right. Which is gonna go through its own whole review, right?
I think it already has, correct?
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion for us not to exercise our right of first refusal for the property at 0 Gurney Farm, Assessor's Map 228, Parcel 8.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on, we have a license agreement between the Town of Freetown and American Tower Asset Sub 2 LLC for improved safety communications.
So I just want to talk to you about, these two are the leases that, or the licenses agreements that we need in order to put the equipment on to rectify the issues or help with the communication issues of our radios. I've gone through one of these pretty extensively with Chief Abbott. The second one, I need to spend a little more time with. So I think if the board would be so inclined to just give me the authority to sign these when the chief, myself, and town council agree that they're ready to go, that might be easier, because I still, the one of them, I'm not 100% ready to say sign it yet.
Okay, so rather than approve it, I'll modify this and we'll just give you the ability to approve, sign it once they're good.
Yeah.
All right, so I think this will cover then 4 and 5, right?
Yes.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to give town administrator the ability to sign these agreements after review.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's been a long day for me, guys. Bear with me.
Me too.
All right, going on to agenda item 8. This is the town of Freetown and town of Lakeville for use of the animal shelter for boarding dogs, effective 1/1/2023 through 12/31/2023. And how much is it?
It's $25.
It's $25 per day for the boarding. In addition, the town of Freetown will pay a $20 drop-off fee for each dog brought to the animal shelter. It's flat with what was done last year.
Okay, that's what I was really looking for. Any questions or concerns?
No, we're in good standing with them, right? With the Lakeville Animal Shelter, to our knowledge, and they're okay with it, everything?
I didn't call them. I'm going to assume that we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're willing
That
to
we
give
paid
us.
our bills?
Yeah, that where, I just want to make sure that we're in good standing, but, I don't think they would try and give us a contract if we weren't, so
Yep.
I think we should be good.
No issues here.
All right.
I have a meeting with the ACO officer tomorrow. I'll ask her and confirm that.
Okay, good. All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement between the town of Freetown and the town of Lakeville for use of the Lakeville Animal Shelter for boarding dogs effective 1/1/2023 through 12/31/2023.
Motion made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next is the IRS increase in mileage rate of 62.5 cents per mile, effective 1/1/2023 through 12/31/2023. And we don't really have much control over this.
I just noticed I did make a small typo. The old rate was 62.5 and it's going to go to 65.5.
65.5. I'm surprised it only went up that much, right? I think it'd go up more. Inflation. All right, any questions or concerns?
No.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt the IRS increase in mileage rate of 65.5 cents per mile effective 1/1/2023 through 12/31/2023.
Motion made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on, we have requests for transfers from the reserve fund to town properties, the amount of $15,487.61.
So, what this is, unfortunately, is quite a few repairs to the new police station. I'd say approximately $8,000 to the HVAC system and $7,000-ish, $7,500 for the jockey pump for the fire suppression system that we realized wasn't working, and that's what it costs to get it operational. Because of the amounts of these bills, we don't have the funds, we didn't budget for this in the repair line in facilities.
Yep.
So, the chief and I had a discussion, and I talked with facilities, and I said, I think the best is to just go through a request for a transfer from transfer reserve fund, because we just don't have the funds in the budget. So, this is what this is. It is what it is. We've already expended the money to repair the things that we didn't really have a choice.
I mean, and that's what the reserve fund's there for, right? These unexpected kind of costs, to some degree, it's going to happen.
And unfortunately, even brand new things break, right? So
Yeah.
and
Working out the
they're
kinks in the new building.
Well, I guess my concern is Jake, the pump and the HVAC system, some of those things are warranted for years. Do none of those fall under the warranty period anymore? Have we looked at that?
I think they might have had a 1-year warranty, and we're out of that now. We've been in the police station now for, December of 20? December of 20, so we're over 2 years here.
Yeah.
So the town had the opportunity to extend warranties and engage into service contracts, basically at the time we moved in. Town declined to do that. More recently, the town is required under the fire code to have
fire suppression inspections done on an annual basis. That wasn't being done. When we were going through accreditation, the assessors came in, and one of the accreditation requirements is to have a survey of your fire suppression system. Based on that, we engaged the company that put the system in to come in and do the inspection. That was approximately $2,000 or $3,000 in cost. During that inspection, the company discovered that a jockey pump wasn't working. What does that mean? It means the fire suppression system wasn't working in the building. So basically, we had an urgency. We had to get this thing taken care of. As Deb pointed out, the 1 year had passed since the installation of the system. Actually, the system was put in 2019 while the building was being constructed. We moved in December 7, 2020. So those were the costs associated, the inspection and the replacement of the jockey pump, which was approximately $7,500. With respect to HVAC, we had no maintenance on HVAC since the time we moved in the building. So you're looking some two years. A lot of the costs were because they were replacing filters. And then there was some other alarms in the system, et cetera. So Deb is looking at and has tasked facilities with getting some quotes so we can have these services in place. So my understanding is that's where we're headed with this. But when you neglect, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we do.
Penny wise, pound foolish.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming it. That's just the reality of the situation.
Absolutely.
So that would be my explanation.
Thank you, sir.
That makes sense. All right, any other questions or concerns?
No, we need to be done.
Yeah, as we look at paying for this, we definitely have to get that program in place for all town buildings, not just police station.
Yeah,
so
we
that
need
this
to have
doesn't occur again.
Service schedules and maintenance. Deb's brought that up.
Deb's on it. I
Yeah.
know we discussed it, but just for the record and for transparency, it's being worked on.
Because,
Yeah.
I could see this happening
Yeah.
a lot.
Well, as technology gets better, right? When things break, they cost more to repair them. It's an evil of two things.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for the transfer from the reserve fund to the town properties in the amount of $15,487.61.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the senior work-off application. So all right. So the senior work-off program has been revised.
We went, special town meeting went from $750 to $1,500. That's the only change it's had.
It was.
So a special town meeting from last year, we upped it, we doubled it from $750 to $1,500 per qualifying senior. That's the only real change that's happened since.
Yep. And so. Sorry.
I did a little bit of homework on this just before we came because we had expected the director of the COA to be here tonight. However, she has resigned her position and is on vacation this week. So I did a little bit of homework because I think where we're at is there's an annual application that seniors who choose to take advantage of this program can work for the town, make minimum wage, or have an equation equal to minimum wage, and get up to $1,500 off their real estate tax bills. So the question is who qualifies for this program? So I did a little bit of research and I looked at the law, and it basically says that the selectmen or the town has the right to, pick their eligibility standards and whatnot. I'm not sure what the COA has used in the past. We've been trying to get that information, and it's sort of unclear of what the procedure's been in the past and what the information's been in the past. So, but from my research, it's basically the board can determine what the eligibility requirements are. You can set a cap on how many seniors you allow to take advantage of this credit. I know we have not been inundated with applications in the past, so I don't foresee that being an imminent need. And I did print off some other stuff, and I'll see if I can find it, sorry, from Massachusetts, mass.gov. I went on and just kind of looked at the eligibility requirements for some other Massachusetts state programs, and they were quite high. Like, I think a family of one could have $64,000 of income and still be eligible for what's called the circuit breaker tax break, which is something that seniors can get. But let's see if, I don't know if I didn't print it and bring it with me.
I think for Freetown, it's 52,000 and change for one family of one, and it's small increments up to a family of three, the way it sits now,
Yeah, so I didn't
Which is
bring
in-
my printout, but.
which is similar to other towns.
So I think what happens is the application should be approved by the COA and then by the selectmen as to eligibility requirements, basically. And, I mean, what's listed here, if you guys are okay with it, it seems to be sufficient. I think it's even lower than what the state would allow.
Yeah, it is.
52,750 for one person, 60,250 for two persons, and 67,800 for three persons.
And listen, people want to come and work for us for minimum wage. I mean,
Right, and
You know,
we
it's-
do get some good seniors that come and provide some valuable services to the town.
I wish we didn't even
So
have to
ju-
cap it at
just-
this, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting many people, it's just.
And what do we ask them to like provide like tax forms? Like, how do we know?
Right, that's what was happening in the past. So the Council of Aging, the director of the COA, they would take applications from seniors. Seniors then would say, "Hey, I can do ABC." There's a handful of things that they apply for. Say you're good at bookkeeping, then you can be a bookkeeper, or if you're good at housekeeping type of duties, then you can do that, and you get into almost like an abatement of sorts, right, off your taxes. And then that information is taken from the COA to the assessor's office, which then because the assessor's office is the one that does all the taxes. And that's how you get your money off, up to $1,500, right? So moving forward, is that a COA position, or do we move that somewhere else? That's the only thing I would change.
Well,
if there was a
the
change.
COA does need to facilitate, if the people are working for them, the hours and controlling the amount of hours, right? Because they're going to say, okay, minimum wage is $15 an hour, so they can work 100 hours. So we need the COA to say, okay, Carlos came in today and worked 8 hours and so on and so forth, right? They need to facilitate how many hours are being worked.
Oh, right.
So it's
Right,
in document, right?
Right,
Yeah, so
the
it's
department heads for that facility, so it doesn't have to be at the COA only. It could be at town hall, it could be at the police
Right.
station, it could be
Yes.
anywhere in town services. And the department head then signs off on the hours per week, per month, whatever it is. That translates into X amount of credits or dollars off your taxes at the end of the year.
So I do like the idea of maybe if it starts with the COA, but I also have a hard time, people are so busy right now. If I send someone over to the chief and have him start helping him out, he's got a lot going on. Now I'm having,
So it's usually put out to the department heads, like, would you like to have a senior
Okay,
staff
all right, so
person?
they'll know what they're getting
So like,
into.
I say, okay, I've got
getting
to
into,
photocopy these 10,000 files. That'd be something, maybe I have a senior work-off person come over and just set them up and have them just photocopy all day if I had a project like that, you know what I mean? So it'll be internally, we ask for the person based on what they can and cannot do, Can you send me a senior work-off person? Building uses one to file. She goes in there a couple hours every day and files, until she reaches her maximum hours, so. But as far as who checks the income and how that process works, I'm not sure.
Like, well, I guess what I was saying that is like, I don't care if they, personally, that is, like, if they want to work for minimum wage
that's
to
my
help,
point.
to minimize their taxes, I don't care what their income is. That's just, I think that's a benefit to the town.
Right.
Like, I don't know why we even have that as a qualifier, right?
Well, it's one of those things. Some people are on Social Security, right? That's your income.
Yeah.
Other people could be millionaires by inheritance,
Yeah.
by whatever. So if you only had two positions available, I would personally, I would choose the one that would need it more, which would be the person on Social Security versus the millionaire. That's why there's a limit on that.
Well, I would think more of it would be like a cap and then go backwards or something before we start just trying to ask everyone, because if we have 5 people who show up and want it, to your point, if one of them's a millionaire, but there's 5 people who want to do stuff and we have 10 positions available,
Yeah.
I'm happy for the millionaire who wants to come and work for minimum wage.
Yeah, and it seems like, I think did I see somewhere it's like 30, maximum amount of people is 30?
You can set the maximum.
Right now, we don't have a max, from what I can see, looking at the program.
So I guess to my point would be if we hit the max, then you would say, okay, then it could go on a sliding scale, income threshold, and say, okay, well, that the one millionaire doesn't get it because it was 31,
Yeah.
or whatever. But if we're not hitting anywhere close to that,
Oh, we're not. And I looked at the neighboring towns as well to see what their caps were and everything else. Some towns didn't have any caps, like we were suggesting or talking about. Other towns did, which was similar in monetary value to what we have. So the program itself seems like it's pretty on solid ground. If there was going to be any tweaks, I would recommend removing the tax burden as far as what the COA people can see and bring it to place at town hall. Because I'm more concerned about PII, personal identified information, when you're looking at taxes. So
I could just have them, honestly, the way I would do that is just have them sign something saying that they make less than whatever, right? And then we'll go on the honor system.
But to your point, then you're still giving up that personal information, whether it be to COA or to someone else. And now we're putting that burden on someone else in the town hall who might not have the time to do it. Right?
Well, that still happens, right? So the COA provides that information, that packet, and it goes to town hall. So let's say, I believe it goes to the assessor's office through the tax department and everything else. So at the end of the day, they still may require that information because they're the tax authority. They're the ones that are looking at the taxes and the abatements so that we can keep an eye on what goes in and what goes out of the town. So they're doing it, and then all the information is just pretty much packed up, either mailed or sent or driven over, and then they look at it again. So to cut out that one piece and just let them look at it, I feel more comfortable with the program.
Yeah, I mean, the less hands that it's in of personal information, I think it's a no-brainer, but...
Yeah, but the program itself is solid. I've looked at it, I've spoken with Barbara about it. It seems on good footing.
Yeah, but who's gonna, so you're saying you want the paperwork administered by someone at town hall? I guess who would that person be?
Well, it already does. At the end of the day, the abatement or the excise removed, it goes to the assessors, right? The assessors at the end of the day sees a portion of it going, all right, we're going to remove this from this. Assessors, when you get your tax bill, it's already on there, right?
They're seeing that part. They're not, are they, you're saying, because the whole point of personal information is what you were initially coming after, right? So is that information going over to them? And that's what I understand what you're saying. Okay, they're going to work off and they're going to see that they worked off $1,500. Now their tax bill's going to decrease by that.
Right.
So
I guess,
I just know that we're going to create some negativity if we start trying to pile more of a burden on an individual in the town hall that they don't currently have with the workload that's currently on the people that are in the town hall.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to put any work and shifts around and without speaking with the unions and anything else. I'm not trying to do that. But when it comes down to personal identifiable information, that should be kept to a minimum who sees it.
Absolutely.
So especially when you're looking at your home, your W-2s, things like that. Are the Council of Aging, are they an authorized agent? Are they authorized to look at that, someone's personal information like that? That's there. So my concern is to reduce the amount of people looking at that. They're, at the end of the day, town hall's already looking at it. It's already touching it. It's already submitting that paperwork, which is a tax bill. COA can still do, verifying the hours. That can still happen there, but,
The CEO, I guess by entering into this program, you're basically saying, I'm giving up this information, right? So I'm not saying that you're giving it up in good faith that they're going to go and pass it on to people, but you're giving it to the individuals at the COA, knowing that that's being used for what it's being used for. And then that information might not necessarily be passed on as far as income level to the town hall. It's more about taking the money off of your tax bill. So, I mean, there's probably some other things to work out in regards to it, but I mean, I don't even need to get, I think if we're not getting that big of a turnout on this, that we need to get into the pennies of who makes what. If they're willing to come, I mean, we've said it on multiple levels, if they're willing to come in and work for minimum wage and give us productive hours, I'm okay with it.
Yep, and it looks like they have to do a minimum of 20 hours. I saw that. Which makes sense. And then I didn't, am I missing, is it like always at minimum wage, or are we just saying that? Like, who sets the billable, like?
It can be no more than minimum wage, it says
Be
in
no more than- okay, that's-
the
All right, that makes sense.
statute.
That makes
So I think
sense.
that's why we go with minimum wage.
Because it just like, depending on the nature of the work you're doing, I could see like arbitrarily, somebody could say that, the value of doing one job is worth more than another job. But if it's just, if it's maxed out at minimum wage, then that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Like I said, the only change is that's been happening since the special town meeting is the amount.
Okay.
From doing the senior muffins a couple weeks ago, there was talk that there might be some back pay coming, just from, right, as far as someone not getting the past years. There was a perception that the program had stopped or wasn't moving forward.
I don't understand that because this program runs from like January 1 to October. And the reason is in October, we've got to get the hours into the assessor so they can deduct it from the tax bills that will be coming out as of January 1. And then the applications are due in September, and that gives the COA time to process them, bring them to us, give us the names, and the Board of Selectmen to approve the names of the applicants.
Which never happened.
Which hasn't happened this year, which is why we've been trying to get this from the COA. So some people at the COA was like, well, I've been working since September. Right. Well, it runs from January 1 to October, so I'm not sure where the confusion lies with that, but at the time I wasn't 100% sure because this has always been run by the COA, so it hasn't been something I've put my head into until recently.
So theoretically, that September should have been on last year's.
And you're maxed out at what you can do in terms of you can only do 100 hours or $1,500, and that just changed, right? It was $750 before. So I think there's some confusion. I don't know where it lies, and I'll have to go back and address it, but I think it's something that we can maybe go from January 1 forward, but I don't think we can go back to September and say, okay, you worked in September, we're going to give you credit this year for that. You know what I mean? I think it needs to be cleaner than that. And they'll work the hours anyways, because I think ultimately some of these people are volunteers that,
This is kind of an extra benefit of them doing their volunteer work.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great program. It really is. And seniors are very happy with it. So whatever we can do to help the seniors is great. Just want to make sure we're doing it correctly.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get this, we need to get this approved so we can get the applications processed, so we can get the list, so you guys can vote on it at the next meeting, I'm hoping.
Okay. And really, because at the end of the day, it's not like the money that, it's just the money that would otherwise wouldn't be paid in taxes just gets absorbed by everybody else. So that's why it's important in the order of operations that they get that.
Yes, they need it before they set the tax rate.
Because it impacts that.
Because
and
they set
this
the
year,
tax rate in November.
it just didn't. Right?
Well, I think they probably had last
So,
year's for this year's,
Okay, well, but if we're voting on just the, on the
application.
The application, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the new senior work-off application.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next is discussion and vote on the RFP to hire the OPM for the fire station addition / renovation.
So, the next step in the fire station renovation is to hire an OPM. I did the RFP. Actually, I started, Luann actually did a lot of the RFP. It went to town council. They've made some revisions, and I think it's ready to go. I just want your approval to keep moving on that process.
Looks good to me, just pretty standard language here.
We started with the one from the police station.
All right.
And then we tweaked it.
Any questions?
No.
All right, great. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the RFP to hire the OPM for the fire station addition renovation.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, now this is discussion and vote on the adjusting the building committee number of members to 13. This is the like regular building, this is for the,
Yeah. Do you know how many it was?
This is from Mike.
This came from Mike McHugh.
It says 13 original. Now they're 13.
So there's 16 spots currently that require a quorum of 9. But we have 3 vacancies. So I think he's requesting that you change the makeup of the building committee down to 13 members so that the quorum will be 7 because they have difficulty getting a quorum when they
Yeah.
have a meeting.
no, that makes a lot of sense to me.
So that's, but it's not like we're booting people off. We
No.
have 3 vacancies.
It's a quorum issue, and it's just really an issue of trying to actually be able to have meetings, right?
Yeah.
All right, any concerns or questions?
No.
Whatever makes it easier to get those meetings going.
All right, so that, I'll entertain a motion to adjust the building committee number of members from 16 to 13.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Easy. All right,
I should have had them go.
yeah, what,
I have Kevin, can we just do them?
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
on the
Sorry,
date? I'm
guys.
sorry, guys. I just
on
looked at
down.
them, just like,
Or
I
stay
should
right there,
have
it's up to
them. So, we're just gonna take it out of order, and I'm gonna,
To be fair, these folks were here long before I was, so
yeah.
I don't want to feel.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's Chief's here for 18 and 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's,
It's a longer discussion.
Obviously, it's up to you.
yeah, no, I don't,
Hey,
I don't want to step up.
yes, yeah, no, yeah, and, Jerry, okay, all right, yeah, so we'll take you guys down.
yeah, so,
Very quick.
yeah, so that's what I was gonna say, because I know that this is only gonna be a couple of minutes. What this was is kind of a lot of talk of the COVID stuff happening, and, so I had talked with Kevin and Lori quickly and said, we were doing updates, and we haven't done anything lately, so I asked them if they'd be so kind to come in and kind of give us some quick updates on what's going on, what they've been dealing with, so. Thank you both for coming in, I do appreciate it.
You can't put me on my face, I'm falling.
The good news is there's 5 cameras on this.
We'll get it from every angle.
Get every angle of it happen.
Yeah, I'd be
can watch it over
I'd
and
be on
over and over
failed
again.
blog or some odd thing, yeah, I know it. So, folks, thank you. Glad to hear, and you're doing better, Deb, I'm glad to see you back. So you asked us to come before you, exactly, Mr. Chairman, to provide with an update relative to COVID. I think there's 2 distinct parts of that, our preparedness and physically what we have and what we need to do. And then on the immunization side, on the actual virus side, I think Lori, our town nurse, will speak to that. So overall, I've been successful in getting, this is 3 shipments now of various PPE and like objects. So, and when I say I'm getting, I have thousands of COVID tests. I'm probably down. I probably have 4,500 now, maybe 4,000 now. Thousands of masks, adults, children. I have the KN95s. I also have mostly the surgical ones. Gloves. We could sell gloves back to the government. I have well over 10,000. Band-Aids, which Band-Aid. Well, if you're going to give immunizations, right, you need. I've got close to 15,000. I've disseminated some. The fire department has a bunch. Obviously, if they need it, theirs is a daily need. I remember and I remind everybody that those of us who were around when this first started, we had a department head meeting, and the subject was, and Chief and Cheryl would remember, is if you know anybody that's got masks, or hand sanitizer and stuff, can you get it and grab it? We have enough now masks, and the town was not providing masks at that time to its employees. I believe we have enough now, at least it's certainly to keep our employees safe. I've offered them in some situations to those that are at home infirmed. They may have an immunocompromised member of the family. So I've offered some of that PPE to them. We have hand sanitizer. We have sanitizing wipes. I have touchless thermometers. I'm probably down to about 75 of those. So I would say overall, we're in good shape relative to PPE for our immediate needs as a municipality and the staff. And there is some that we would have available so that we can utilize it should we have a large volume COVID clinics or vaccination clinic, something along those lines. And the good part about this, most of the PPE doesn't go bad, right? So it wasn't a way, in my mind, right? As the pallets were being delivered, I said, it's not going to go bad. I mean, everything has a shelf life, we know, but, the gloves are not going to go bad. They will get used. If it's not by us during this pandemic, it'll be in future flu clinics, it'll be by our first responders, right? So we're pretty well set there. There has been no recommendations out of DPH, Department of Public Health, relative to physical changes to our facilities. Nothing. I'll speak briefly about my general knowledge of this recent strain. The XBB.1.5, is that correct? Which is different than the Delta variants, right? So the Delta variants, they're finding out were more, they were more lethal overall relative to what your effects were going to be on you or ultimately. This is more transmissible, this variant, right? More people are getting it, but the symptoms are not as extreme, right? So in my research that I've done in preparation for this, I'm finding that the research that they're doing, this is typical of a virus, right? This is what viruses will have, and they need to find as many hosts. And if it's easier to just be transmissible so they can survive. So that's what's going on now. I'll let Lori speak to the actual numbers. The efficacy of, if you are fully boosted, as what they call it, right? You've gotten all your booster shots and all. They believe that it is effective with this new variant and would prevent you from getting even sicker. Very similar to what its effects are on the current. So unless you have any other questions from me.
Yeah, I guess I have one quick question.
Please.
If someone is home and they need some PPE for themselves.
Call me. Email me. Smoke signal, carrier pigeon. Whatever you need.
I may have known that, but I would like to just say it out loud, so that's why I
apologize.
said it.
If there are folks, right, and again, for clarification, I'm not looking to provide them for a large-scale employer or things like that. But let's just say you happen to be a preschool here in town, and you don't have. They have the ability to get the same PPE I did. So when I initially went out with tests to offer it to them, they said, well, do you want some of ours, right? So they're pretty squared away. But let's just say they called me, we're short on gloves. We need some masks. We had an outbreak, whether it's just a stomach virus, right? We would have the ability to provide those types of individual situations. Additionally, again, if you are infirmed, if you're immunocompromised, if somebody you live with, or if you would just feel safer, I could absolutely provide you with some, right? I'm not going to be the sole provider, right? We have, I'm going to say a number and Cheryl's going to correct me. But we have approximately 8,900 people in town.
9,206.
I told you she would.
It's off by 50.
Yeah. So obviously 10,000 gloves sounds like a lot. Well, that's why I knew. Thank you. 10,000 gloves sounds like a lot, but I could only give one to each one of us.
Right, only one hand.
So you understand, I'll have to be discerning in how I do it. But to date, we've been very successful with that. And I will tell you, if they come out with another round and they want us to accept it, I will get the stuff that I think we will use.
Just curious, Kevin, where are you putting all this stuff? These are tough,
the good news
tight.
is, no, you're right. So the good news is we have some limited space downstairs in Town Hall.
Okay.
And there is a storage trailer at the fire station.
Okay.
For COVID stuff, PPE stuff, mass casualty, things like that. So you're right. I did have to scurry a bit to make a little bit of room, but the building department's been great. Tim's helped me out a lot. So I will find space if we're going to get this stuff for free, if it means I can get it out.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
So just a little bit about COVID-19 community level for Bristol County is at medium, so it has come down. So COVID cases for our town, and obviously a lot of people aren't going to get tested. A lot of people are home testing, so the numbers aren't as accurate as, kind of what everyone's seeing out in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So in December, we had 59 cases here in Freetown. January, we're at 35. And so we have seen a decrease. And so COVID and flu, typical happens every year around Thanksgiving, Christmas, when you have a lot of people gathering together, the numbers go up. And once the holidays are over, the numbers kind of come down, and that's kind of what we're seeing with that. As far as recommendations at the current level, the recommendation, staying up to date with vaccines, some of the stuff Kevin was talking about. If you have symptoms, getting tested, wearing a mask. If you have symptoms, test positive. And, someone who is high risk, then they should, limit their exposures. Also, if they test positive, contacting their physicians for the treatments and medications that are available to them.
Thank you.
I think what's important to know, and the Board of Health has been very kind in allowing Lori and myself to do this kind of outreach. Should the general population have any questions? Should our residents have any, hey, what does it mean? Hey, how do you do a test? Hey, just whatever it is. What's the protocol? Should I stay home? Call us, email us, right? Lori works part-time here in town, right? 8 hours a week on Tuesdays only. But I can tell you she is a dedicated public servant, and she will make phone calls in the evening, on her way to work, on the weekends, whatever it is. And employees too, right? Employees, she's been a good resource for them. Relative to that, we have a COVID policy that's been in place for quite some time now. It's a pretty straightforward policy. It's relatively in line with DPH. There is one minor exception in that while they would make the claim or they allow for that 5-day period to start on the first day of symptoms, we are a bit more strict in that we say the first day that you test positive, that's day zero. And the reason for that is, and not that I'm claiming anybody has done this or would do this, but the potential is there. We've seen, let's say, outside our municipality where somebody gets wise to that and they would go to the doctor and they'll test and go, but I've been having symptoms before, so they can get back to work or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And what then happens is that leads to others getting sick in town. And we're so low staffed in some of these offices that we don't need individuals an office being closed for a week.
Right.
So that's the reason for the motion.
Thank you both very much. I do appreciate it.
And as far as vaccine, we still have some vaccine, and we've been offering that to all the residents and tell people to call. We've gone out for home visits for people who can't, get to.
Yeah, that's something too. I think that the Freetown Board of Health should be proud of too. There's not a lot of towns that I know of, and maybe there's some out there. I don't want to give credit where credit's due, but we offer a service to, again, if you're homebound, you're infirmed, if you just can't get out, it's a tough time of year. We will go out there in concert with EMTs or paramedics oftentimes, because there is an observation period, or if there's a few, Lori and myself or Lori and somebody else will go out there and provide that. And I will tell the seniors really do appreciate that. They really do. So again, thank you to the Board of Health for allowing us to do that.
Thanks for you guys.
Yeah, they should be able to do that with flu vaccines also.
That's great.
And get reimbursed.
There you go.
We made some money. Got our first check a couple days ago.
All right, good stuff.
Hey, thanks again.
That means
Thank
we're
you very much.
Keeping the count on the positive side.
Sign and cash it. Put it in the bank.
All right. So next up.
Thank you for that.
Yep, no problem.
Appreciate that.
Next up, we have just discussion on fire station building subcommittee. Is this just whether we think we should have one or not?
Yeah, I think we probably should have one, because you're going to have these decisions to be made, like what color is the carpet going to be, or whether we have carpet. I don't know.
I think we should have one.
Coming here.
I think we should have one, but I think it should be small.
Small is what I thought.
Very small, yeah.
And I think it should maybe have like a building committee representative potentially. Well, let's see. I think fire chief.
Yep.
A firefighter.
Yep.
You. But like you representing the Board of Selectmen, I'm thinking there.
Okay.
I don't know, or one of us.
Yeah.
Or both.
Or both. Or both. Actually, if we have 5, that makes sense. Hold on. So what I'm thinking is fire chief, firefighter, a building committee member, and then a Board of Selectmen member, and then you. Or,
Yeah,
Someone
and maybe a FinCom member, if we can get it. I was thinking 6, actually.
6, but do you want
You
to
want to
have
go
it?
odd number, right?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Does it matter if it's voting, just because of odd versus even
Oh,
numbers as far
yeah.
as voting and?
It does matter.
Yeah.
That was my thought. I actually was thinking the same thing, like a Board of Selectmen member, a FinCom member, myself, and three fire people, and I asked the chief to give me some names of interested. And I say that because this building's not open to the public, right? So this is,
Yeah.
it's really heavily influenced by the firefighters and their use of it. But I think we need to have the balance in that I would be looking at financial matters, right?
Yeah.
This needs to stay on track. It needs to stay on time. There's a lot of things that would be my involvement. I don't care what color anything is. I don't care about any of that. I care about the timing, the financial impact to the residents and that. And a FinCom member would also be that. So that, keep in mind, we have 2 FinCom members that are on the building committee also already. The fire chief is already on the building committee. I believe I am on the building committee.
I'm on the building
And Jared
committee.
is on the building committee. So
Thank
there
you
is a
so
good number of us that are already on the building committee that could serve on this committee as well. So I just want to make up, and then we'll come with names in the
If we
next
come up
meeting.
to an even number, then my suggestion would be is that we add a secondary firefighter.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I
at
was
the end of the day, the firefighters are the ones who are living
Yeah.
and breathing through
And I
this
did
place,
get
right?
3 names from the chief, plus himself. So I think that
I
makes
do
sense.
remember our police chief, he's here, telling me that, he did a good job, and I'm putting him on the spot, and he's like, great. But he talked a lot about when the functionality of this building, right, and you touring other places and doing things and getting people involved, and I think that's a big part of, obviously this is a brand new structure versus an addition, but still, the functionality for the people using it, so.
Yeah.
I wanna make sure we have them involved.
That's the most important thing in my eyes. I don't know. They talk about decon centers. I get the gist of it, but I don't know. Do they run in and take their clothes off? Do they run in and, I don't know, right? But they know.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that need to make
So-
those decisions.
I think, so 7, am I missing anyone here? If we have fire chief, 2 firefighters, a building committee member, finance committee member, Board of Selectmen, and then Deb, that's 7.
Yeah, cabinet 7.
Are we good with going forward with that makeup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That cool?
Yeah, I think that works.
All right, so,
It's a small building, so it's,
yeah, I don't see it needing a ton of meetings, just kind of,
No, but somebody needs to make these
Needs
decisions.
decisions.
You don't
Absolutely.
want to be making
No.
them because our meetings will be even longer.
all right, that's great. So I'll entertain a motion to form the fire station building subcommittee based on the structure I just mentioned.
A motion made?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next is ambulance abatements for November 2022. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the ambulance abatements and write-offs for November 2022 in the amount of $94,915.84.
Motion made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have for December, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the ambulance abatements and write-offs for December 2022 in the amount of $217,848.43.
Motion made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Number 17, Personnel Board. Discussion and vote on having recording clerks under the Town Administration Department for volunteer-based boards and committees to utilize.
May I discuss this, or you got this?
I don't have this.
So
Yeah,
what
I didn't see anything on the,
So we have, obviously, whenever you have a meeting, you have to take minutes, get those minutes approved, posted on, with the town clerk and posted on the webpage. A lot of the volunteer boards can be lacking in that. And we have minutes clerks for the Economic Development Committee and the Building Committee, I believe. So my thought process was this, to just hire 2 or 3 minutes clerks, and that if the volunteer board needed one, they could request it through us, and, you know, we just budget so much a year for minutes clerks, because I'm concerned about the open meeting law violations and the minutes not getting done. I mean, we have some situations where there just aren't minutes, and
That makes a lot of sense to me. So centralizing that function.
Yeah.
So that anyone can use, they just have to make sure, like, so we'll know, it doesn't matter who's doing the minutes, right? As long as someone's there for the minutes, so
Right, yeah.
when they're scheduled, we can kind of, and then we're getting consistent minutes and like styles too, you know, just the way it all makes sense to
And
me.
you know, these volunteers come together, and some are great. Like, we have some boards that do their own minutes, and they do a good job, and they're consistent because they have good members. But they're already volunteering their time to be on these committees or these boards, and then they have to do these minutes. And it's sometimes there's not somebody on that board or that committee, while they're valuable for many other reasons, that can do minutes
I mean,
and
I couldn't do
understand
minutes.
it. Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
It's myself. So I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that might be a good way going into budget season. I just needed to kind of get your thought process on that, as we would centralize it through our administration to budget and department, and we already have a couple of minutes clerks.
Right. Just
that
on
we
top of those, or are we not removing them, but a sense that they work for the administration department versus directly
Specific
for those
boards, yeah.
Yeah.
boards? Yeah, that makes sense. That absolutely.
And like, we will work with, you know, scheduling, like.
But I mean, obviously, if we have one minutes clerk that always does the building committee, it'd be best to keep that one there.
Yeah, of course.
But if not, if that person can't make that meeting, we can pull another clerk to go over there and do the minutes. And some boards that continue to do their own and do a good job, we'll just leave them alone.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's just kind of adding an additional option,
Right.
really, for these boards, that if they need a minutes click, they.
And not only
or they
that,
have-
it might be more advantageous for somebody who maybe has kids at home and wants to work 2 or 3 nights a week, and they have more, they can pick up more hours, as opposed to, geez, I work for the Economic Development Committee, but they only meet twice a year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not,
Sure.
that's.
We already
not-
have pay rate set on that, right?
We have a stipend, so I'll have to kind of circle back to see how that's going to work. I think we pay $150, $150 a meeting.
150 is what stuck in my head, and then we just need to determine, because we already know which ones are supposed to have minutes taken, right? So we just have, yeah.
So I'll take a look at that and see if that still makes sense for us, but I just wanted to put the idea out there and see if you thought that might be a good
See, Cheryl, do you
idea.
have any input on that? I'd say no.
No, I agree. I think making sure we're up to date on all our minutes and make sure they're not violating any open meeting laws, that's a good sign for the town that we're all in compliance. So if us keeping that function in the administration department and the boards and committees have a choice and an option, I'm all for it. Absolutely.
And most of the boards will probably be happy, because it's one less thing they even have to worry about, right? To your point, so they're volunteering their time already.
Well,
so.
and the reality is, when they get an open meeting law violation, we have to get town council involved, we have to have town council provide an answer. They don't know that they're volunteers, you know what I mean? It's not the same level, and like I said, while they're all very conscientious and they have value in what they're doing, they might not be the best minutes person.
I just have one thing to mention, just to piggyback on that.
Okay, so state your name for the record, please.
Oh, sorry, Charlotte Shaw, Town Clerk. It's always been customary, because the minutes are permanent record and they get provided to the town clerk's office. We used to be on a schedule where every 6 months, we would contact the chair of those boards and committees with an update as to what minutes we were missing. Last year, it was very difficult with the horrendous election year that we had to fit that in, but I did have my assistant Tim go over that and reach out to all the chairs of the boards to update them. So they've been really compliant on getting those to us. We've now implemented a new procedure when we post agendas on the website, where it will automatically link the minutes, so that any person can actually go in and correlate the minutes to that specific agenda. So it's kind of like a one and done type thing.
I
But
like that new
we'll continue
function.
to monitor that.
Yeah, I like that. You just
And
sign up your
trying to,
email, and it
create
works great.
efficiencies within the office and within the town and the website as a whole, just so that people have information at their fingertips.
That's great, yeah.
That's all I wanted to add, sorry.
Thank you.
That's a great little, add your email address, and boom, you get the minute meeting sent to you right away.
That's awesome.
Instead of searching for it. It's great. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think
All right.
we.
All right.
Let's have a vote on it then.
Yeah, I entertain a motion to approve having the recording clerks under the town administration department for volunteer-based boards and committees to utilize.
Second the motion. Sorry, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, number 18. Discussion and vote on whether to approve the traffic controller policy. He's speaking my language, Chief. Come on down. It's a great idea.
Put my jacket on.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Chief?
A little background on this. Years ago, it would be no problem to get officers to work overtime, officers to work details. And when I say officers, I mean many municipalities, not just Freetown. What's happened in the last couple of years is we're seeing in the Commonwealth a shortage of officers to work these traffic details. The shortages has manifested itself in different ways. One of the results was officers being compelled to work beyond their regular hours to work these details. We want to try to avoid that. And now we're seeing, flaggers and traffic constables and, the nomenclature differs, but essentially it's a flagger. We're going to call ours a traffic controller. And our bylaws do recognize traffic controllers. State law, the CMR has recognized flaggers. So we're on pretty good authority there. The traffic controllers are civilian positions. They're not armed. They don't carry any weapons at all. They're an at-will position. They don't fit under any definition within our personal bylaw because they're not regularly scheduled, etc. So that's why we've got some language in here addressing the appointments and reappointment and things like that. They're not a member of any collective bargaining unit, so that in many ways makes it easier. Let's see. Because they don't regularly work 20 hours, they're not regularly scheduled 20 hours a week, they're not eligible for health insurance through the town. So we require them to provide proof of health insurance, should they, it's just a good practice because we're not offering it. They are covered by workers' comp in case, there's some type of casualty that befalls them on the job. It is a dangerous job, obviously. People aren't paying attention for a number of reasons. It's not uncommon to have to jump out of the way of a moving vehicle. To that end, we've got a pretty good description of what the essential functions are. The applicant would have to submit to a physical, the cost to be borne by the applicant, and that physical would tell us whether they could do the essential functions or not. Any uniforms, the cost would be borne by the traffic controller. I'm trying to think. Liability, of course, there's always liability to the municipality. In this case, it would probably sound under negligence, and you would look at whether the traffic controller was adequately trained. But as you probably saw, we're going to require them to have DOT certification in a course. Or in the alternative, if they can demonstrate, the quantum of experience necessary. So you might have a retired officer that's older that had directed traffic for many years. We probably would look at that. They're going to have some first aid training, etc. Let's see.
I have a quick question. So say if there's a town employee and from a different part of the town and they also want to, take this job, if they go over 40 hours a week, and I'm not saying this is a question for you, but if they go over 40 hours a week, will that be overtime?
So, two things. The first is they're probably in violation of the conflict of interest law. That's a threshold question. And the second is, let's assume they're not. Let's assume they were made the group was made special municipal employees. You would look at the Fair Labor Standards Act to determine whether they were eligible for overtime.
Okay.
To be eligible for overtime under the FSLA, you would have to actually work over 40 hours. Example, I took 5 vacation days, and now I'm working the other position. I didn't work over 40.
Yeah.
But notwithstanding that, if I worked my 40 and I'm doing this other position, then the Fair Labor Standards Act would kick in, generally speaking.
Okay.
But, now having said all of that, these positions, they're working for a contractor. You follow me?
So the town's not the actual.
In theory, yeah. In theory. There may be some cases where we say, hey, listen, traffic controller, we need you. You're mandated to direct traffic 4th of July or something like that. Well, that's going to come out of the police budget. So that's where that first whole scenario would kick in.
Yep.
But to your point, they're working for Verizon when they're out doing full work or whatever. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. I wasn't thinking of it like that.
Verizon paying them instead of paying the police officer, essentially.
So that's, all right, so compensation, how did we do this? Well, you can't just make a reference and say they're going to get paid what the officers do. And because there's a little, well, let's just say they're not members of the police bargaining unit, so the police can't bargain what the traffic controller's rates are. So you create a fiction, okay? And that fiction is you're going to vote on a schedule, but it's identical to what the police receive. Now, why would we do that? Well, there are 2 reasons. If you're the person processing payroll, you don't want a myriad of all kinds of rates. That's chaos. And if you're the same person who's doing billing for invoices, you want it to be consistent. But the board does have, clearly have the authority to change those rates, but I'd recommend let's try this, and if you're inclined to approve the job description of the policy, let's start out a little slow with 2 or 3 people at first, see how it works out.
So we're going to say, okay, I'm throwing numbers out there, right? So we charge Verizon $60 an hour for every time.
$54 an hour, right?
So we're paying the police officers more than what we're paying these people. So what do we do with?
Paying the same. Right now, the way it's set up, they're paying the same.
We will pay them the same. I thought you were saying we would charge the same, but we wouldn't pay them the same. I'm sorry.
You could do that if you wanted to, but what I'm saying is it makes more sense to have everything even.
Right, yeah, okay, I'm okay with that.
Just from administrative stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, I'm okay with it.
So it's a well-paying position. I mean, think if you were going to college, doing a lot of stuff online and stuff. This would be.
It's not a bad gig.
Yeah. And my biggest concern, it alleviates that, is getting details out there, right? Like 4th of July, you mentioned that. That's a great example. That is a tough day for police officers because they want to go spend time with their families. So having someone out there.
You're absolutely right. So what we're looking at frequently is we have these events, and we're putting officers directing traffic when we really need them in the event, right? Whether that's on the grounds at St. John Newman Fair, or at the park, or in a cruiser during the Independence Day. So this basically, if you want to be a traffic controller, you're going to expect that you are going to be working those events,
And I was going to have a question about the availability and how they were about getting people, because in today's economy, getting workers is tough. But if we're paying that good of a rate, I'm sure they probably have a good amount of people willing to do the job.
I would think there will be, yes.
Yeah. So.
And the other thing we do, obviously, is we exhaust the list of the union members before we even start calling.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's my next thing, because the union won't have a gripe with this, right?
They can't, because
they're saying we don't.
We've asked them, none of their members have taken advantage of it, so, they should work out fine, yeah.
I think this is a
no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we vote?
Yeah. Well, before we vote on 18, I think we did a lot of 19 discussion as well, discussing the.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vote both on 18 and 19. I'll do it separately, but so you folks know. So I entertain a motion to approve the traffic controller policy as written.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I entertain the motion to approve the traffic controller job description at set pay rate as discussed.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Excellent. Item agenda number 20, discussion. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Discussion and vote on whether to approve the community program director job description, set pay rate, and number of hours weekly, determine where this position will be housed and when to hire for this position. So, as you folks may remember, on the last special town meeting, we put out there that we were looking to hire a part-time community program director to help alleviate the pressures of holding down all the employees over at the beach and boat ramp. So this was a good position, and to also help out with other community needs, such as, the Council of Aging for programs and things like that. So this is now to discuss moving forward with the job description as written in our notes, and to move forward, get it out there so that we can get somebody interviewed and hired.
Yep. Everything looks good. One thing, just thinking of accountability, because I feel like this job, there's a lot of kind of little things here and there, a lot going on, a lot to do. But I'd like to have some type of function where we could pull and see for each week's work, what they worked on, how many hours they worked on it. In office, and also they're going to have office hours.
Well, that's one of the discussions, is to determine, where they're going to be sitting, who they, and there's a couple of questions that we need to discuss, and that's what this is for. It's, I agree with you. I'd like to know how much time they're spending on the beach, the ramp.
Yeah.
Cheryl wants a fourth person in her office.
No, I said not in my office.
Yeah, I was like, we have to move some more things if we're going to do that. But, this was approved by for those positions that's why we changed it to community program director, so they can assist with, bingo night at the COA if needed to, or casino night, whatever the case may be. But also primarily, though, is to make sure that the boat ramp and the beach, we're not paying a pay rate or a stipend to certain town employees so that they can oversee what's going on at those positions.
I think it's a very important position. We definitely need it. I just want to get, tighter around kind of some of the controls and make sure, and one thing, if they're spending 90% of their time on one particular thing, right?
Sure.
That's good for us just to know for kind of planning, right?
I was gonna say, yeah, it might be good in the beginning, so we can just
We'll get some metrics.
direct the person the way we want to direct them too, right? Because they're not going to know, this isn't an existing position, so they're going to come in and be like, okay, where do you want me to go, in what direction?
Yeah.
I'm going to rely on them to come to ideas, but then, we can certainly circle once a month or once every 2 months back to this board and say, this direction, this is what we've been working on, is this the direction you want them to go?
Seasonality matters, right? To Trevor's point with the boat ramp, right? Well, during the summer, they're going to spend more hours on dealing with boat ramp type stuff. During the off season, they might be more the COA during, with whatever they have going on, and they might be creating new programs and doing things where they're focusing in a lot of time and energy to work with seniors on different things. And so I think it'll be nice to know, just so that we understand as a board what they're doing, how they're using their time.
And just to be clear, I don't think this has anything to do with the job description. I'm totally cool. That's fine. Just in general, I think some of the things we should think about, when we actually have a candidate, and that makes sense.
And where to house them, obviously, there's nowhere in the town hall. And I guess the COA, I don't even know, we would have to look at the COA and see if they have somewhere.
I have an idea. So.
Your house?
Yeah, no. So I think for people who have some other jobs, we don't have to talk about specifics right now, but, where we're looking for them to have some additional office hours, if they could, share that space, on working odd, different times.
Because you're
one
right.
person in the morning, one person in the afternoon, or certain different days.
The transfer station.
Transfer station. They also have the stickers there to give away, so that's part of one of their responsibilities, to help with those, disseminating those 2 free stickers per
That
year.
is about the only space we have available other than conservation office on the third floor, which is
Probably-
still used for conservation, but
Where's
nobody's sitting in that position currently.
But they could, and then you're taking a position, a space
Well,
away from them.
it's more about like
Yeah, it's tight.
disturbing the files and all, like, they're not
Yeah.
gonna be able to have file space or anything because so, yeah, I can look into the transfer station. I think that, I've asked them to clean that office up so I could take a look at it and make sure it's okay, but they've assured me that it's a decent space.
Yeah, I'd like to get eyes on it. Yeah, I'd like for you to go take a look at it, make sure, like, you know.
Yeah, like, this isn't a punishment, we don't.
No, exactly.
Right, we don't want
That's what I'm
that.
thinking. And I haven't seen it myself, so I can't speak to
I
that.
haven't either, but they've assured me that it is okay, and I want to go check and see what's operating. Does it, does it have?
I
what it
agree with
needs?
you on that. This isn't a punishment. This is giving you, even if it has a double-sided desk or something so that you can share the desk.
Yeah.
Because you're right. So during the summertime, you're going to be dealing with a lot of phone calls. What do I do in this situation? What do I do in that situation? This is happening. What should I do? Who should I call? And then you're right. In the fall, winter time, you're primarily going to be dealing with, not dealing with. That's not the way to put it. You could be working with the Council of Aging and the seniors to make sure they're getting everything they need as far as programs and
And that's
like that.
why I really wish that there was more space at the Council on Aging, just
Yeah.
because then they would be kind of at a home base that they're working with a lot of the people that are going to be using their services. But at this point, if we don't have the space, we can't generate the space out of thin air. So I think that the transfer station is
We may be able to check in COA to see like alternating days, like maybe well, I know they don't have any programming going on Fridays. Maybe every Friday, this person's at that facility.
Yeah, and I guess that's why I'm thinking of it, and it's selfishly I keep going back to programs, and I think of for the seniors, right? And so if we're going to have them doing programs for the seniors, why not have them there? But the Council on Aging has been asking for additions and doing things and new buildings and whatever. We'd be selfish to say, okay, we're going to go in there and take some more of your space that you're already crying you don't have enough of.
I know, but
So-
like Lori goes there every Tuesday, right? And she goes in and she occupies the space. So I think there's times when there would be space available for a person to be there
Yeah.
and work in that environment.
And
So I
maybe
can
your point's a
work out
mixture of both.
Yeah.
Maybe some days are at the transfer
That's what I'm
station,
thinking.
maybe some days are there. But I just,
And last week when we were there for the muffins, they did say that they do need a program director, which we told them we're working on it as we speak, right? So that might mean they already have a space that they're thinking of to put that individual to help with the programs. So I think that's a quick phone call, maybe not quick, but it's a phone call that we can make and see how it shakes out. And if that worked, great. I would love to have that person there.
Yeah, I think
you
you could
know.
alternate. I think you
Yeah.
could come up with a schedule that would work with.
Worst case scenario,
with
put in
their
Cheryl's
programming.
office and call it a day.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I think, so we all approve, put the description out there, get someone in, start doing some interviews and see what we get.
Yeah, I think, did we talk about pay rate, though?
The pay rate's, it's a part-time position.
So we want to go up to 19 hours, right? No more than that?
So 19 hours, let's write this down.
Yep.
Pay rate.
It's all in there, so it should be at the
This is a
bottom.
bylaw employee.
Yep.
We added this to the bylaws.
you have to.
So salaries from other communities.
Yes, 135.
I don't know, did you go?
Obviously, they range wildly.
Right, that's the Parks Director. That's the, down the road, if you get the metrics that says, hey, we should really have ABC, especially with the open space plan and where it's at, and that takes off. That's something long-term, right? But if it's part-time, obviously, not chop it in half, but you'd be below what's there now.
Mm-hmm.
The lowest I see is 55 a year for full-time, which, puts them around 18 to $22 an hour.
Norton is
yeah.
1804 to 2250 per hour, right? So if we're looking at hourly,
Right. In our, what's the clerk, what do we do for clerks? I think they're what, $19, $20 an hour?
We paid $18 for the boat ramp.
Right, so it has to be, right, so it'd be
I think
above
it has
that.
to be above that.
Right, at the very minimum above that. So what do our clerks make?
The clerks at the town hall?
Yeah.
They started at 1885. think around
I know we
18.
set it around the same, so
1880 was
that
in my
one would
head.
say, hey, this makes more, that makes less. So,
Well, they also have full-time in their benefits, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say you want to be around $22, $23 an hour to $25 an hour, something like that.
Yeah, because to your point, it's a great point. They're not getting benefits there, so there's a lot
I
of.
say we
still a lot.
start off at $22 an hour, and then let's see how that goes.
I absolutely, I was thinking 21.50, but 22 works too.
22.
$22
All right, so it's 19 hours, so just for your motion.
Yep. I'll set it on the motion.
Yep.
All right. Anything else to discuss? $22 an hour set. All right, we'll get it going. All right, I entertain the motion to approve the community director job description with the pay rate set at $22 an hour, and number of hours set at 19 weekly, and then and as far as where they're going to be housed, I'm just going to redo it. I'll just cut that last part out. All right. I take the motion to approve the community program director job description with a set pay rate of $22 an hour at 19 hours per week.
All right, make that motion.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, yeah, then we'll
that's
figure out the
second
rest of that later on.
Right.
All right, thank you, Selectman Lopes.
Yes, sir.
You got number 22?
I think, 22.
Yeah,
All right,
22
so.
still on.
Number 22, item on agenda 22, discussion and vote whether to add a shed with electricity at the Long Pond Boat Ramp. So as gentlemen know, we've had this discussion for a little over a year now, and I believe we have a grant available that we received from the state. And so we decided, we're talking about the gate, which we discussed a few meetings back, and now we're also discussing, hey, there's a shack there, but there's no electricity, there's no anything. So we already moved forward with the kiosk, which is electrical, right? And people pay with their credit card and everything else. So adding a shed with electricity and maybe Wi-Fi down the road is, a next logical step. So, and not to mention a place for them to cool down and.
Yeah, and if we ever wanted to put cameras, we would have electricity.
Correct.
Things like that.
We have the space for it.
Yeah, to the, as you enter on the left.
Correct.
And we didn't talk to conservation, but they're making sure that we can do it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to have somewhere like if it's raining, so just somewhere someone can get out, like not an office, but like a little area where someone could get out.
Just gives them, there is the existing one, which
Something
we'll
for your
leave
lunch.
there. Yeah, and that's what's happening. They can't charge phones, as it sits right now. So they're out there for 8 hours, if their phone goes dead, they can't charge it. And in the past, where they've been there alone, there's been stuff that goes on down there.
Right.
So we just thought, with the money, the grant monies, we could put this shed, run some electricity to it if we get maybe an air conditioner, or charge their phones, or a fan even. And Carlton said Chief Abbott, once the new communication radios are in place, there'll be a government channel, so that we can give them a radio that they could call dispatch directly if they needed it. So I just think this is the next thing that we need to do so that we can provide kind of a better working environment down there and safer.
So,
Did I hear we said we got a grant for the shed too?
yeah.
Well, we
had, what,
could have granted
20,000?
$25,000 from Rep. Schmid.
So the shed is going to be down by the water side or up at the street side?
Up at the street.
Okay.
Right?
So then it won't be a big, because I was worried about if it was down by the water side, then Trent getting power from the street
No,
down,
right
so.
there. And in reality, this summer, with the two attendees, when I went there a couple times, one was working the gate and one was working up towards the kiosk. So it actually makes sense for us to have the dual
One at
sheds.
either end, yeah.
Because it's really, if you've been there, it's hectic when it's hectic.
Yeah, it gets busy.
And it is really hectic. It can be very chaotic there, and you want to make sure that people have a safe place and be good.
Yeah, this makes sense, especially with the new gate and everything else.
Yeah.
Moving forward, infrastructure needs is what we've always talked about for years before any of us were in these positions. But now that we're here, and it's moving in the right direction, and this is just good for everybody, and the employees and the boaters.
And then we need to spend the money before
Correct.
June, so that's why we need to figure out what we're gonna do.
Not very often
So
you
I
have
think
that
it's around
problem.
$5,000 for the shed and around $5,000 to do the electricity, but I'll get better pricing on all of that.
All right, great.
All right. Any additional discussions, questions? All right. In that case, I entertain a motion to Purchase a shed with electricity at the Long Pond Boat Ramp.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, so now signed stuff.
No, Cheryl must be here. Cheryl, you
Michelle, do I- yeah, are you here for anything particular? Okay, just wondering. Make sure I didn't miss anything.
She loves us and missed us.
Okay, sign.
Right of refusal, 3 copies.
I gotta go use the ladies' room.
Is it okay if I use a blue pen?
Yes.
Oh, my God. I've been sitting too long. My body doesn't want to walk.
I like the choice of shed that was made, by the way.
It is nice you're looking at.
It's nice to shop.
Yeah.
Spend someone else's money.
And I think you just get more use, like space
Yeah,
out of that one. The other
yeah.
one's pretty, but it's like, I don't think it would be as functional.
Right.
Just for the note.
Yeah, and plus so close to water, it's one of those things. It's are we gonna go in conservation have an issue with it? Us?
They were meeting tonight about it, and
Okay.
they didn't anticipate any issues.
Awesome. It's even better. It's even better
I'll
news.
circle back to you. IRS mileage. Transfer request for town properties.
Up here.
Yep. To ambulance abatements and write-offs.
Thank you. This is the transfer request thing that we have to sign.
It says sign here, that's for that pole.
Okay.
So it's like 3 or 4 times with us. That's just because I know where I stopped.
Thank you.
That's for the notaries.
I was like, where do I go? Where do I go?
Yep. No sticker on
Is that leather that's put there?
No.
It's nice.
HEB.
Again, bang into it and make a noise.
Everywhere where there's a sign.
I'm curious to see how the video comes out.
I'm sure it's going to be great. So they're doing all kinds of special effects when I talk.
I get the shed 10 pounds filter.
There's like, you can set like a setting so it zooms right in on one person if you push their number or whatever.
Oh, that's kind of just me.
I told him he needed Photoshop.
Yeah.
I better look good.
All right. Oh, second.
Do I have to sign anything? Nothing for me.
I also like the fact that the TVs are on these sides now. Maybe I can see them without, because we're always like having to turn right around to see.
Well, the thought process was like, they're on carts, they're wheels, so we can actually bring that TV like over here with this, because this camera will be gone. So you'll be able to have that way.
All right, folks, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.